Hello and welcome to another special Unsourced Wall unboxing. We're back at it with HULKvember, and this year we'll be looking at a couple of Hulk figures where I'm trying to find the best, simple, savage, or green Hulks. Last week we took a look at the retro Marvel Legends, like 5-inch scale, 5 points of articulation, green Hulk figure, Savage Hulk if you will. And this week we're looking at an actually retro Marvel Legends figure, the original release of Gray Hulk, or Joe Fixit, what mind you. It has the classic bubble that says superposable 34 points of articulation, back when that was like the biggest deal. Yeah, this is part of like the original line of Marvel Legends figures. And it's really cool. Yeah, it's supposed to be the first appearance of Gray Hulk, aka the Jack Kirby Hulk. Which is funny because if you take a look at the back, they actually have like Tim Sale art from their miniseries Hulk Gray, part of their Marvel Colors series of minis. And like I think it looks more like a Hulk Gray Hulk than it does like a Kirby Gray Hulk. But it's fun and it's nice, and I'm glad to have this because this has been on like my wish list for ages. And now that I actually do have it, let's crack it open. But I also want to mention, of course, that this is part of like one of ToyBiz's like classic, if you will, big air quotes, Build-A-Figure series lines. And this was meant for the Build-A-Figure Galactus. And the other ones in that sort of collection were Nightcrawler, Bullseye, War Machine, who's that? Deathlock, of all things, really, Deathlock. Professor X and Doctor Strange. And no, I will not be getting all these to make the giant Galactus, mainly because there's no point, because all these together would be way more expensive than this one was individually. But now here's maybe a little foreshadowing for the rest of HULKvember. You can see that this came with a green Savage Hulk variant with a different face sculpt. And you can see the prototype of the Gray Hulk had that same face sculpt, but I think they went with like a more soft, calm look for Gray Hulk. And I have to say, it's a lot more Kirby-esque. So I'm glad that they kind of changed that up when they went for the the standard release Gray Hulk and not like the what they eventually went with the green Savage Hulk face. But yeah, let's crack this mint in box figure open. I wish I didn't have to, but I honestly want to just play with this thing. So let's check back in when I do that. So I was actually able to get this thing open without damaging too much of the card back. Like, I was able to get it open really, really cleanly. But before we get to the figure right here, I want to look at the sort of back matter, because the backing was actually like this free, like reproduction copy of the first Incredible Hulk comic, which I already have. If you watched any of last year's HULKvember vids, when I did the DVD special edition of the Ang Lee Hulk movie box set from like the UK, it came with like a small mini-sized version of the original comic as well. But let's just rip this baggie open and see what's inside other than that, because it seemed like there might be a few hidden surprises. You can see, here we go, it says not for resale, which a bunch of people have broken, because I always find these kinds of like reissue, reproduction, ToyBiz, Hulk comics things for resale as well. And hey, look, it's in color. Now, I've only ever seen like these in like essentials and like black and white trade collections. So that's really fun. I never actually read this in color, and it's always a kick. Like that. I think when you hear stories of how like the Hulk was only gray in his original appearance because like the coloring tint wasn't quite right, when you see it like in color, you can understand that a lot more, because this isn't like really gray. In some panels, it very much looks like off green, and I think like, okay, I understand that completely. And also, obviously, there's a bunch of ads here, a bunch of like early 2000s ads, Spider-Man, bunch of Spider-Man stuff. They know what their biggest seller is. The Joe Kubrick School ad. Oh, this is like 90% Spider-Man ad. Holy crap. And of course, the Lord of the Rings action figures and ToyBiz. Those look pretty cool. Tempting. Very, very tempting. And the last thing in here is a Fantastic Four catalog book from the 2005 movie. For a little mail away Marvel Adventures subscription card. Oh no, these are actually pretty good too. And it's funny because now Hasbro is doing a bunch of like Fantastic Four reissues of stuff, and I wouldn't say no to a bunch of these things. Like, oh my god, look at that soft squeezable thing. Now this is funny because ToyBiz made for the Ang Lee 2004-2003 Hulk movie a giant squeezable stretchable Hulk. So I wonder if you got both of these two and had them fight, if that would work. I think that would be really awesome to see if you had if you could find or track these two down. But no, they have a deluxe Thing figure, a kind of Stretch Armstrong ripoff, Mr. Fantastic. Hulk hands repainted as Thing hands, also Thing feet. Oh yeah, that's something that the Hulk never had. And you're basing allotments of standard action figures, including this horrific looking Mr. Fantastic. Look at that. That's just body horror. I mean, how can a kid even play with that? Can he even stand up? I want to find out. Maybe I should do like a Fantastic HULKvember next year. Just all this shit. I would love to see that. If anyone knows how to track these down, let me know. Anyway, let's move on to the actual figure itself, which has some twist ties. So, give me one more second to just get these all out. Alright, so now that we got all the twist ties out, finally we can look at the Galactus hand. Yeah, look at this thing. It has... Oh, that is a stiff joint. Ooh, is that like a ratchet? Sounds like a ratchet. Or is it just ages of disuse? No, that sounds like a ratchet. And you know, can bend inward, has just the grip hand all together, just kind of curves inward, no thumb articulation, can swivel up and down, at least at the wrist, not at the, or at least the gauntlet, but not really at the wrist, and double elbows that don't really do much because he's got a giant bicep, but nothing at the bicep, just a little panel lining. That's fun. Yeah, maybe if I could track all these down, that'd be really interesting to do, but as is, it's just a novel curiosity at this point, and it's not really even that articulated, even for like a hand. But yeah, fun. Anyway, let's look at the Mr. Gray here. Here we go. Awesome. All right, look at this guy. Nice tight joints, solid, even after like, I guess like 20, almost 20 years in the package, going by that Fantastic Four pamphlet at least. You can look up, you can look down. He has a little bit of like clicking at the neck, so you can kind of you know, give it a side glance. Classic Hulk, a side glance. Really soft knees. The knees on these are always like the first thing to go. Now they're double jointed knees, so you can get like a little bit of a kind of skip going. But yeah, even on my Joe Fix-It, the new one I got, like the knees and the hips are always like the most kind of ragdolly. See, look at that. He also has full toe articulation at like the entire thing right there, so they're all molded together, but that's nice. And the ankles go back and forward. The ankles are a bit tight, which is good if like his hips and stuff are going to be like ragdolly, to have some stability. Let's get him standing up. Ooh, that is not a good fit. So he can stand up, but I think the best position for him is always going to be like this slightly walking, lumbering kind of look, because of how awkward all the joints and the limbs are put together, like in his legs and in his chest and in his kind of midsection even. Look at that. Distributing his weight a bit more evenly backwards and forwards with his legs as if he was walking is going to be your best option here. But it's really nice and it's really fun. And what I love the most about this is that you can even see like that off green coloring all around the joints, around like the hinges and everything. It's really great. Like, he's not just gray, and I think that he would look great as just gray, but I think that's a really nice callback to how the kind of old wives' tale is about the coloring here, is that it wasn't meant to be gray, that it was just a production error with the green tint. And so I think that's like a really good homage to that, and I think that's really fun. But yeah, no, this is awesome. I if it weren't for like that classic ToyBiz style like lumbering kind of molding, this would be like probably my new favorite Hulk figure. I love just how like thick and compact he is. Like he's a sizable figure. I was not expecting that. I've seen pictures of this figure. I'm like, oh, that looks a little bit shrimpy, but it is bulkiness to it, and I love it. Like all these rivets and in the articulation, like look at that bicep, hips, the midsection, and they're not just like svelte either. Like they're bulging muscular molding and sculpting here going on, and I love it. I love that. It gives it like this nice heft, but still keeping it small and not like overly sized where it's not like fun to like play with. Like look at that. Like this is fun. Look, I'm having a good time just kind of posing it and just sort of being able to like play with it as a toy, which I think a lot of like recent Hulk figures that Hasbro is doing kind of miss out. Like they're meant to be like ornamentation, like centerpieces, because they're just so like gigantic, and the articulation is even more basic than this a lot of times with new Hulk figures. So this is fantastic. I love it. And in pictures, I wasn't able to like really appreciate this as much, but I have to say, I really love that sculpt, that face sculpt. It looks a little bit like grandpa-ish. Like it looks very sort of old and elderly, but I really love the attempt to do a Kirby style face. Like you see like the wrinkles and everything. It looks very modeled, very kind of like self-serious, very jowly. Classic Kirby face detail, and I love it. I think it's ingenious. And again, solid figure. Like the feet aren't even parallel yet, but the top heaviness of it, keeps it like planted on the ground. Like this is a paperweight, I love it. This is fantastic. Now, like see arms, elbows, biceps, wrists, actual wrists this time, and like at the upper kind of gauntlet area. Now the right hand is a little bit different than the left. Like the left hand is like Galactus, where it has like the index finger. This one has thumb as well, which is cool, but then the rest of the fingers are all molded together. But the right hand is a little bit more curled, like it's a little bit more kind of, I guess, capricious, maybe more angry. Like this one's a little more open, this one's a little more like grasping, which is cool and all, I don't mind that. But yeah, no, this is like far beyond anything I expected. Why is like Hasbro like messing up on getting us like a really awesome Hulk figure? Like if Hasbro redid this with like modern sort of like fine-tuned action figure kind of attributes, especially in the molding and in like the sculpting a little bit, especially for like the hips and the knees, which you can't get any kind of like function here. Like they're straight jutting out. Like they look clunky. I think the legs are my least favorite part of this, because like they feel the most janky and they're splayed out. Like there's no way to get them like situated like evenly or parallel. It's the ankles and like the broad shoulderness of like the chest doing most of the work balancing this thing. But they could like redo this and like fine tune it. That would be incredible. I would buy that in an instant. But no, we're getting like big, ostentatious, ridiculous molds for Hulk, and it loses a lot of the fun. But yeah, I love this thing, and I want to do one thing. One last thing before we kind of move off. I want to compare this to Joe Fix-It from the Incredible Hulk Classics line, which was basically the Hulk-centered spin-off wave or toy line from Marvel Legends, because if you made something this fantastic, why wouldn't you do its own spin-off toy line? I would buy like 10 of these, and they made like 10 Incredible Hulk Classics figures, so yeah, go for it. I'll bring out Joe Fix-It right now, and we're gonna see how different they look. Now, as you can see, the original Grey Hulk, the original Joe Fixit, if you will, towers over the Incredible Hulk Classics Joe Fixit. Like, you wouldn't even be able to put Joe Fixit's classic trench coat on the original Grey Hulk. And it's a shame. Like, this is the kind of thing that makes me want to, like, to make accessories for it. Like, if I had any skill of sewing or fabric, I would make the original sort of tattered shirt. I would give him the a new version of the leather trench coat that Joe has. That kind of stuff. Because, like, this is the kind of sculpt and look that deserves more. It's a shame that the only accessory it came with is this dumb Build-A-Figure. Like, I would have given up this Build-A-Figure for, like, some more stuff to go along with this this mold and this aesthetic. Like, okay, I know I bagged on Hasbro a little bit right now, but at least when they released like their own 80th anniversary Marvel Grey Hulk, they gave him like the original, or at least their version of like the orange tattered shirt. It only draped against the shoulders, which was, you know, really lame. So it wasn't like the whole sort of over the chest shirt either, but it was something. And like, this deserves more. This really does deserve more. So yeah, if we're ranking HULKvember releases, this is the top. Like, if just standard Hulk figures, this is right there. Now my heart will always be with Joe Fixit, the Incredible Hulk Classics version, because this is my childhood toy. Not legitimately, like I said, I lost that original Joe Fixit, so this is just nice nostalgic memory piece. But honestly, this is like right up there. This is perfect. This is exactly what I was looking for. I could end HULKvember right now because I found it. I found my perfect Hulk toy in terms of like aesthetic, in terms of like build, in terms of heft and like playability. This is it. We reached the pinnacle. But we have 2 more weeks to go, 2 more figures to look at. So hopefully you'll join me on that adventure as we look for more Marvel Legends Hulk figures and see, you know, which one is the best of at least the original Savage and Grey Hulk stuff they've been doing. But so far, this is the one to beat. And I have to say, the only reason I got this and the only reason I started like the whole green and gray theme this month is because this figure was the one featured in Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. If anyone remembers that movie, Lil Bow Wow's character is a Hulk fanatic, and he has a like a small like Mini Cooper type vehicle that is Hulk themed with a green paint job and Hulk decals everywhere. And on his dashboard is this figure. Like, I need to get this. I need to make an entire month theme just for this because I thought it'd be pretty funny to reference Tokyo Drift, and it turned out better than I ever expected. So yeah, I love this thing. I'm glad I was able to get one mint in box so that all the paint is still on there and not crackled or anything. Because even that's really good. Even the hair has like this little green scale stuff, green highlights. So I love it. I think this is great. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. And thank you so much. And see you again next week for another special Marvel Legends Hulk search through. And yeah, have a great one out there and stay safe.